Hello, everybody. Welcome to the morning show. We're broadcasting to you this morning on Channel 9 on WJOP LP Newburyport, Joppa Radio FM 96.3. We're also available on Newburyport Community Media's YouTube channel at ncmhub.org. This morning, I'm delighted to welcome two experts on fitness. Sean and Hannah Stellmach are here, and they're going to talk to us about how to get motivated and stay motivated to make sure that we meet our fitness goals for the coming year. So let me introduce you first to Sean and Hannah. Sean has owned Fitness Together in Newburyport for more than 11 years. Along with his years of experience, Sean has said that his own passion for fitness and helping individuals improve their health motivates his team to be the best of the best. And Hannah, who's manager of Fitness Together and also a fitness coach, says that she always loved sports as a kid. When she was in college, she competed in Keene State College's varsity cross country and was team captain her second year. It was through this experience, she said, that she saw her potential to lead others and developed her interest in exercise science. So Hannah's been manager at the Newburyport studio since 2011. She says she truly enjoys witnessing individuals achieve their goals with the coaching of Fitness Together's expert team of fitness coaches. So Sean and Hannah, welcome to the morning show, and thank you so much for visiting us today.
Thank you very much. Excited.
Thanks, Mary.
It's my pleasure to have you here. Well, Sean and Hannah, it's a new year, and our thoughts at that time of the year tend to turn to our goals and aspirations for the coming months. A frequent aspiration for many of us is getting fit, or at least getting fitter than we've been, especially after the holidays when many of us tend to indulge. Now, you're both experts at finding ways to help motivate people to turn an aspiration into a plan and a plan into action. What are some of the most common kinds of barriers that you see people encounter or creating themselves to exercise? And how do you help them remove those barriers?
Yeah, there can be a lot of barriers. We try to eliminate those as best we can and pick the ones that are more frequent. But people can be really overwhelmed with where to start. There's a lot of information out there, and you try to digest it all, and it's almost impossible for the common person to read up on every single article and be current with the latest research. And there's so many different options that are available. It's really overwhelming. So they don't know where to start, so they just don't start. So we help take that part out of it, and we teach them how to get started and how to keep things moving going forward. The other thing they tend to think is it needs to be all or nothing. That might prevent someone from holding back a little bit more. They think because they can't work out 5, 6, 7 days a week, they shouldn't work out 1 or 2. When 1 or 2 is better than 0.
Yes, absolutely.
Is 3 better than 2? Sure. But it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Starting gradual is important. The other one I feel like, not for everybody, but the fear of failure or past results. They might have tried other things in the past and they didn't work, and they don't want to be disappointed again. They might expect themselves to have the same results that they've had in the past, and that holds them back, because if they don't try again, they'll never fail again at that, or have to face that reality of it again. So we try to take that, help them out with that, take them under our wing, guide them through the process, so they're not set up for failure. They're set up to reach their goals.
Yeah, that sounds really wise and helpful. I think what you're saying is, and I can identify with those barriers. People might be afraid that they'll disappoint themselves, and that can be a real barrier. But there used to be a saying, if you don't try, you can't fail. But if you don't try, you can't succeed either. So it's always good to try. And I really like what you say about don't set unrealistic goals in the beginning. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. I find the same thing comes up around trying to meditate, that people will feel like, if I can't sit for 20 minutes, what's the point? But really, if you just sit for a minute, and then it becomes easier to add another minute. And so you're saying the same thing applies to fitness. And I think that's really useful. And I like what you say about helping people find their way through the dense forest of information that's out there now. And I must say that y'all's website is a fund of information on many of these topics, some of which we're going to talk about today during this interview. And it's very accessible and formatted as frequently asked questions. So your website is a living example of the philosophy you just were talking about, Sean. So thank you for that. Well, you know, I've seen articles on the hazards of sitting too long, which is what most of us do these days because we work on computers and we entertain ourselves on screens and devices. In fact, you may have seen the slogan I've seen, it's a meme now, sitting is the new smoking. So I was hoping that you could talk a little bit about what happens to our bodies when we spend so much time without really moving, because I think that could be motivating for us too.
Yeah, definitely a great topic and good question, Mary. So, you know, I think it's one of Newton's laws that something in motion stays in motion.
Yes.
Unless something interferes with it. And that can be, you know, somewhat applied to the human body. The less we move, the more we're going to move going forward. And that can bring upon, you know, health complications and issues in anyone, especially, you know, people that are, you know, past middle age, potentially circulatory issues, cardiovascular issues, loss of muscle or muscle atrophy, may increase the risk of osteoporosis, may compromise your immune system, may make chronic pain worse. And, you know, another thing is, you know, loss of strength, just because you're not moving, you're not using your muscles, loss of stamina and endurance. Sean, did you have anything to add?
No, I think if there was the magic pill, if we had a pill available that could help with obesity, help with heart disease, you know, help with blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, type 2 diabetes, certain cancers, osteoporosis, depression, anxiety. If one pill could help with all of those, we would all be taking it every single day.
We sure would.
And the act of moving and exercising can help with all those things, but we don't all do that.
Yeah. No, we don't, but it's important that we do, especially I was relating to what you were talking about as we age, Hannah, because we're already up against a natural kind of tendency of our body to lose muscle and gain fat, and our metabolism slow down. And so it's really important to find ways to counter that. And it's like you were talking about the inertial principle before. An object at rest tends to stay at rest until something knocks it off course. And an object, same thing for an object in motion. So if we follow that logic, we need to get up. And once we're up, it's going to be easier for us to stay up. So those are important things to consider. So thank you for that. Well, you know, I know that at Fitness Together, you base your fitness recommendations on best practices undergirded by science. And I'd like to ask you about some of that research so people can fold it into their own fitness plans. So let me ask you, what kind of balance do you recommend between strength training and cardio training? And maybe you could describe the difference or, you know, define what cardio training is.
Well, cardio training is, you know, focused on exercising your heart. So that would mean, you know, an exercise or activity to increase your heart rate to a safe level, you know, depending on the individual, so that you're pushing your cardiovascular system, your respiratory system a little bit more than you would be just, you know, walking around the grocery store.
Yeah.
And then, you know, strength training is, you know, when we use an added resistance. So any type of force, it could be body weight, you could be squatting with body weight, you could be doing push-ups, which are really hard body weight exercises, because gravity is working against us. We could be using, you know, the dumbbell or the TRX or a medicine ball or a band. Any of those types of of things that are going to challenge the muscles more. And then there's things that are a combo. Like you might be doing something we call the battle ropes, where you're using these heavy ropes and you're slamming them on the floor. You're going to be getting a cardiovascular and a resistance workout out of that exercise.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add is a lot of times when people think or hear the word cardio, they typically think of like a treadmill or elliptical.
Yes.
And
Running.
that doesn't have to be the case. Cardiovascular workout is anything that just increases your breathing and increases your heart rate, really. So that can be done in a number of different ways. It doesn't have to be, on a treadmill.
Yeah. And is it important for everybody to have elements of both to stay fit, or does that vary from individual to individual?
Yeah, definitely elements of both. I think the amount will vary on the client's abilities, their goals, what they're looking to accomplish. So that itself can get tailored to the client, but you definitely need a combination of both regardless.
Great. Well, there's some acronyms that I've seen that I wanted to ask you about because I'm never quite sure what they mean. So one acronym that I've seen is HIIT. I think people pronounce it HIIT. And recently I came across MICT and LISS. And so help us understand what those acronyms are and how do those fit into an exercise program?
Yeah, so the trendy acronyms, like you said, HIIT, so HIIT is high intensity interval training. So that can be, and we do have clients who want to do that type of a thing. It would be, some sort of combination of strength and cardio done in like a circuit. So there's really no rest except for very specific times. So that's someone who's looking for a pretty intense workout, mix of cardio and strength. The MICT is moderate intensity continuous training. I would envision that would be something like, stair climbing for 30 minutes or something, or doing, that could even be a strength workout that just isn't, crazy intense. It isn't like 100%, maybe 75%. And then LISS is low intensity, steady state training.
Okay.
So that would be, maybe taking a pretty, easy but long hike. Say you're going to do a 15-mile hike, but you're not going to be doing any major elevation. It's more of a, an endurance type of thing. Okay.
And the interval part, does that mean, like, it sounds like with the high intensity, it's like a burst of intense activity, but then there's an interval built in. And so is that part of the idea that you kind of alternate the intensity with some rest, and is that considered to be a good approach to how you schedule your exercise?
Yeah, it definitely is much more of a, explosive movement or a period of movements. It's, you can look at like, if someone's running, the high intensity would be them sprinting all out, going 100%, for a short period of time, and then they rest. Where the moderate might be more of like that steady jog that takes, 30, 45 minutes up to an hour. And then the low intensity might be just a little bit longer, an hour or more. Like Hannah said, the hike, that could be a couple hours. So that's, and I think the important thing is to work as hard as you can comfortably. It's kind of back to that, 2 days is better than 0. So low intensity is better than no intensity.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So it's, and what people enjoy. If people enjoy going for longer walks, or, do that. If people would rather just go to the track and run, 10 sprints and be done in 15 minutes, or if that's all they have in the schedule, that's okay too.
Yeah. Well, that's very helpful because sometimes you'll see descriptions, like if you're looking for exercise videos on YouTube or something, and sometimes they'll use the acronyms without the explanation. And so it's helpful to know which one is going to be the best fit for what you're looking for. And what you're saying is there's something for everyone, in other words.
Yeah.
Well, I've always been curious. Does it matter what time of day you exercise? Are there some times of day where it's going to be more effective, or does it not matter really?
Based on, the science that we're aware of, it really doesn't matter. It's more what the individual can, do with their schedule, and how the individual's body feels at certain times of day. Like
Yeah.
there's some people who come in, they're like, there's no way I'm working out before 9 a.m.
Oh,
Like my body just doesn't do that. And then there's the people that want to come in at 6 a.m. and there's the people that enjoy it, a 7 p.m. workout. So it really depends on the individual. There really isn't any major proven scientific benefits to one or the other.
Well, thank you for that, Hannah, because I've seen articles that say different times of day, actually. So it's good to know. And I think following what you were saying before, Sean, about better to exercise some than not at all, find the time of day that works for you, in other words,
Exactly.
and go with it. And don't worry about, especially since what you're saying, Hannah, is that science supports that, just follow your own biorhythms
Mhm.
and just move. So, well, could you say a little bit about how important is diet in fitness?
Extremely.
Mm,
It's extremely important. You know, you can exercise and work your butt off in the gym or in the studio and have these awesome workouts. But if you're not eating well and you're not fueling yourself well, you're not going to see the results and you're never going to feel as good as you could
yeah.
if you eat a well-balanced, mostly whole food diet. We don't push any diets on our clients at all. It's all, about moderation and eating healthy, 85% of the time. But that combined with sleeping habits, cutting out or cutting down on alcohol, and making sure you're getting enough water, vegetables, fruits, the things that everybody tends to know, but just has a hard time implementing.
Yeah.
But it's extremely important. It's extremely imperative if you really want to see the results.
Yeah, because what you're saying is you'll be sabotaging all the hard work you've done with exercise and developing a fitness plan if you're not following your body's wisdom about the kind of nutrition that you need. And I think that I like the way you put it, that you'll feel better if you're working out, but you might be feeling even better. You're missing out on the potential for how good you can feel if you approach it holistically, including diet. And you mentioned, I wanted to ask you about hydration because that's a topic that comes up a lot these days. And I mean, for a while, everybody was saying, oh, 8 glasses of water a day. And then it's been, other people say no. And so I'm just curious to find out from the experts, how much water should we be drinking and what beverages qualify as authentically hydrating us? Does it have to be water? Can it be carbonated water? Does that count? So help us understand how hydration is part of fitness and what we should aim for.
Yeah, so this is slowly changing, recommendations. The standard has always been, 8-ounce glasses of water every day. But if it's the summer and exercising more, I'm sweating more, do I need the same 8-ounce glasses that I do in the winter when I'm not exercising, on a particular day? If it's watermelon season and I eat 2 whole watermelons, do I still need 8-ounce glasses of water for that day? So I think the equivalent of 8-ounce glasses is the way to look at it. And depending on the foods that you're eating, you're going to get some water from that. And that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that water shouldn't count. I think the recommendation was put out there because many people are, at some state of dehydration and don't have enough water in them. So a blanket statement was just made that everyone should just drink more water, which is still true, including myself. So I don't think it has to be the 8-ounce glasses, but you should be probably drinking more.
As a general principle, yeah. But you make the good point that there's water in many foods. I'm assuming that 2 watermelon reference, is that a personal experience, Sean?
No, I've never been able to do 2, but I've had a lot at once.
It is one of the best summer foods. Now, I'm assuming, though, that coffee probably doesn't count as hydration. Is that true?
Yeah, I was going to say, because you had asked about, what counts as a hydrating fluid or beverage. So, water is going to be the number one, but coffee, I've actually heard different things about coffee lately. It may not be as much as a diuretic as they had originally preached to us, but you should try to balance it out. Like if you are having 1 or 2 cups of coffee, you should try to have 1 or 2 cups of maybe that same size cup of water.
Okay.
Replaced. But carbonated water is fine. Decaffeinated tea counts too. You don't want to be drinking soda. I mean, that's not a good option. But and there's Gatorade. There's Gatorade without calories. I mean, all those things have chemicals and stuff. It kind of depends on what you want to put in your body.
Yeah. It's safe to assume that a gin and tonic, just because that has tonic water, is not a hydrating beverage.
You got a lime in there too, or a lemon, so it's like a fruit.
There you go. It's food-like. Well, let's talk a little bit about stretching. How important is that in an exercise routine, and when should it be done?
Well, it is very important. Stretching prior to a warm-up is not recommended. So stretching, when your muscles are cold, or static stretching, as Sean is correcting me here. Static stretching is when you're just holding a stretch and you may be overextending your muscles and your ligaments before you've even warmed up. So we recommend that you warm up for 5 to 10 minutes, whether it be, a walk on the treadmill, the elliptical, go on the bike, just get your blood flowing, get loosened up a little bit. Then if you are someone that needs that, that deep, or just a stretch or a mobilizing of your joints extra before the workout, that's when you should do some light stretching or dynamic stretching, which is stretching with movement, which we do with a lot of our clients. And then after a workout, it's important as well.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's really helpful, Hannah, because I'd been under the impression that it was a good idea to stretch before a workout. And you're saying better to just kind of start moving slowly and gradually so that you don't strain a muscle or overextend a muscle when you're in static stretching. Thank you, Sean, for that. So thank you. That's really helpful and important. I wanted to ask you, I know that at Fitness Together, you practice the model of individualized fitness training with personal trainers. Please talk to us about what made you both decide that was the model that you wanted to align yourselves with, and what you see as the primary benefit of that model of individualized workouts with a personal coach or trainer.
Yeah, I really love the Fitness Together model from the beginning, both as a trainer and now as the owner. For me, it started with, first, it's a business model based on success versus a business model based on failure, which a lot of those big box gyms operate on. They want you to sign up. They want you to sign up and not go. They want you to sign up and not succeed at your goals. So I didn't really like that as a trainer. I also didn't like at some of those other big box gyms where your coworker is your biggest competition. You're limited to a pool of members and of those pool of members, there's a potential of X amount of people that would be interested in personal training.
Mm.
You want your coworker to be as awful as possible, so then you look even better. And they're your direct competition. So Fitness Together model is not like that at all.
Yeah.
We work together as a team of trainers. The trainers themselves aren't responsible for selling services. They're not responsible for selling themselves. They don't have to work the floor and try to find clients, because they just want to train. That's what they like to do. That's what they're good at. That's what they're, went to school for. That they don't want to have to go sell themselves. They just want to focus on what they, like to do. So it attracts a lot of good trainers because of that aspect itself. And then on the client side, that truly customized workout, one-on-one, private setting, really, really sees results. Because the accountability is huge. It's if you go to a big gym or even a group class, you might think you want to go, but not really show up, and no one knows that you were thinking about going. Where here, it's by appointment. The trainer's there. If a client's a little late, we'll call you or text you. We're not going to yell at you. We're just going to call and check in. Hey, what's going on, Mary? I thought we had you in the schedule. Did something come up? Can we reschedule to later on today, or what do you got going on tomorrow?
Yeah.
So it's that accountability approach
that
really people need. That's really what it is. It's the accountability
that
it helps deliver.
Yeah, I can hear the significance of the one-on-one, and it's also a personal relationship then that's just supportive of a person's goals, not judgmental. And it's interesting to me, Sean, to hear you talk about your experience in other business models, which are really about the business, is what you're saying, and that there can be, I guess, kind of perverse incentives there, conflicts of interest or competition among the trainers, which is, of course, going to affect a lot of things about the experience that a person has there. So thank you for that explanation. That makes perfect sense. I'd also wanted to ask you about, I know so many people, it's another kind of beginning of the year obsession for many people. In addition to fitness, it's related to weight loss for the year, especially coming out of the holidays when we tend to eat a lot of cookies and cakes, pies, and things like that. If only watermelon, Sean, were a holiday food, but it's not. But so how can that goal be integrated, or do you integrate people who come in and say, yeah, I really want to lose weight into a fitness program? Or is that more of a byproduct of a fitness program of just moving more?
I think talking about those end goals and those results are important to look at, but you really want to focus on the behaviors that can get you there. Because that's what you have the power to change, is the behaviors.
Yeah.
So the weight loss piece will be a byproduct of doing the right things, the consistency of it all, working out, pushing yourself beyond your comfort level, eating properly, managing your stress, making sure you're drinking water or watermelon, getting your sleep, all of those things. If you do all of those things, the weight loss, and I say weight loss for us really means decreased body fat percentage. So it doesn't have to be, decreased gravitational pull on Earth. So yes, it is a byproduct of that. And it's more important to focus on the behaviors. Once those goals are set, focus on the behaviors of it all.
I like the idea of diminishing the gravitational pull of Earth on my body. That's
all the way it is, right?
I like thinking of it that way, Sean. Thank you for that phrase. Well, I know, Hannah, when we talked on the phone to prepare for this interview, we talked some about the benefit of fitness on health issues. And so I was hoping, because, fitness certainly can have a therapeutic effect on many current conditions. And earlier today, you were talking about if we're not moving, we're sitting all the time, some of the medical conditions that can promote it. So I was hoping that you could share some success stories with us. Some of the things that you've witnessed with clients that you've worked with that have helped their tangible kind of health concerns.
Yeah, I'd love to. Well, we've had a lot of success stories, but in particular, we've had one client who was diabetic and now is no longer diabetic.
That's remarkable.
Yeah,
that's
so
a triumph.
he was his A1C was relatively high, and he had, maybe 20 pounds to lose. He wasn't super unfit, but he definitely wanted to get rid of his diabetes if at all
Sure.
possible. Because he was heading into retirement, he has grandkids, and within 2 years, he was able to, his A1C decreased to like an extremely low level.
Wow.
And he's thrilled. He's still a client. Another individual who we've helped immensely is someone with Parkinson's.
Oh.
He started with us about 3 years ago, and shortly after his diagnosis, and through the strength training, the balance work, the resistance training, the joint mobility training that we've been doing with him, his doctors are really in awe of how well he's done and how well he's doing, and how much they have said the exercise has made a huge difference in him basically warding off, not entirely, but a lot of the negative side effects of Parkinson's have been well under control for him. Did you want to add anybody? There's several clients who I know it's really helped them mentally, like psychologically, if you will. Not to get into major detail, but with depression and just, major life issues that they've had going on. This has really been an outlet for so many people. And we all know that exercise is a great outlet to release some of that. So,
one thing we've seen, actually, it's unfortunate, but, during these COVID years, we're seeing clients come in that are younger and younger. High school students that are, haven't been with friends, haven't exercised, aren't doing well, mentally, and need a little help. They're just stuck in a rut and stuff. So, we're glad to help, but it's sad to need the help in that way.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's just, I think, especially with young people, the whole country, I think, in terms of kind of a mental health crisis. But I mean, with exercise, you get those endorphins, and just the movement, so that's really an important contribution that people can make to their own sense of well-being. And those results that you've seen with these particular clients with Parkinson's and diabetes, I mean, just for those individuals, they must be thrilled with that, because those are both conditions that can tend to get worse, and there can be so many additional kind of complications, especially with diabetes. So fitness is important, bottom line. Well, you mentioned the pandemic, Sean, and every business has been impacted by the pandemic, especially as it seems to just go on and on. People like yourselves have had to find ways to switch up their services and offerings. So tell us a little bit about how you've adapted your training, online, in the studio, or a combination of those, and how some of these may have proven to be keepers now that more and more in-person options have been possible.
Yeah, like many, fitness places, many, services, we went to the online, option when that's what we had. The virtual training, it was a little bit different than some other places. It was still live. It was still in a one-on-one setting with the trainer. So it was just, the client and the trainer going through it, showing you how to do everything. So it wasn't just a recorded workout getting, sent out. So we went to the virtual. It was one of those things where it was like, why haven't we thought of this sooner? Like, this could be, people that travel, when they were traveling, for work, vacations, you don't have to necessarily cancel your workout. We'll just switch it to a virtual, option. So we have started creating like at home kits that people could travel with and kind of check out, so they can bring some equipment with them.
Oh, what a great idea.
Yeah, so they can continue that. It's something that it's definitely going to stay. We have clients that love it, that will probably never leave it and change from it. But it's different than the in studio. From what we've seen, it's more convenient sometimes to just
Mhm.
roll out of bed and turn on the computer versus
Mhm.
getting dressed, driving,
Right.
especially if it's cold in winter.
Right.
Um, so that part, they like it. And, just people, travel like vacations, like we said, it's, you don't have to lose that time for yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have to put your health and fitness goals aside just because you're on vacation.
Yeah.
That might be a great way to start your day on vacation and dealing with your family and whatever you guys are, whatever's going on. So it definitely was a challenge, but many clients, for us, because we're about accountability, we almost didn't even let them choose if they wanted to do it. They just did it. We were just, on the assumption that that's what they were doing. If they didn't have workout, equipment, we were driving to their house and leaving it on their doorstep,
Yes.
sending stuff out to them. So it kind of removes those excuses and those barriers again, to why they don't, weren't going to work out.
Yeah. And what I take from what you're saying is that it's become a new option, that it can be individualized for, at this point, what people prefer. So that sounds really great, and it fits in with your overarching model for Fitness Together of individualizing people's fitness programs. So, well, please tell us more about how people can learn about your approach to fitness, and or if they're interested in more about the research findings on the issues we've been talking about today. So how can they get more information about you?
Well, they can, a Google search will bring us right up. You can even search Fitness Together, and there's Newburyport will come right up because it's the closest one, obviously, right in this area. They can follow us on Facebook and on Instagram. Our blog on our website has a lot of information.
Yeah.
A lot of articles. We do send out a newsletter, but that would have, someone would have to be on our email list. But even if somebody just wanted to get on our email list, they could just send us a message through the website.
Okay.
Anything that I'm missing?
I would say you could always call the studio. We love to talk, because everyone's situation is a little bit different and we do customize it all. We might have some questions that you might not be, thinking about that might influence how or what you should be doing. So, whether it be Hannah or I or talking with one of the trainers, we always love to share knowledge and help people, with whatever they're looking for.
And that phone number is?
978-961-0335. Excellent.
Well, I'm curious, I have to ask now as we're closing down the interview for each of you, what is your favorite form of exercise? I'm going to guess, Hannah, is it running for you since?
Well, I wish it was running. I had to slow down a little bit with running just because I want to protect my joints now as a mom and getting a little bit older. But I really enjoy walking for miles and miles. I love walking, but I also do love strength training. I just don't do it as much. But I think those two things are my favorite.
I think strength training definitely. And then if I had to pick like another mode, I like rollerblading. I don't, partly because no one rollerblades anymore. And I kind of want to bring it back.
What happened? Everyone was doing it once.
So I really enjoy that. I played hockey growing up and stuff. So it's more of a natural movement for me. But I like getting outside.
Great. Excellent. Wonderful. Well, okay. And in sum then, what final message would you like to leave people with about getting started on fitness in 2022?
I would say stop thinking about it and do it. I would add, do it for yourself. Don't do it because society tells us that January 1st, we need to make health and fitness changes, because if that's why you're doing it, you're not going to get your, results. You're not going to see, the success. Do it because you truly want to do it.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of clients signing up and getting started now, which tend to be a little bit more successful than those that sign up on January 1st, because the motivations are a little bit different. So do it because it's what you want to do, not because what society tells you should do.
Yeah. And Hannah, Any last
Yeah.
words?
I would say, kind of on the same theme is don't procrastinate. I mean,
Mm.
it's not going to get any easier.
Yeah, that's a good
So,
point.
it's just the reality. And, you know, give us a call, check us out. We're not the type of people that are going to sell you on something that may not be a good fit for you. We're not a great fit for everyone. But we're also extremely, I think, welcoming, friendly, and not intimidating. So it is a good place to start.
Well, thank you both very much. Really appreciate your taking the time to come on the show today and share your expertise with us. It's been very motivating. You've certainly provided us with both the positive benefits, some of them fairly dramatic, that will accrue to us from being fitness, but you've also given us a sense of what can happen if we don't get moving and stay moving. So thank you so much for that. It's been really fun to have you on the show and to learn from you both. Thank you,
Yes,
and
thank you.
Happy New Year.
Yes, you
Thank
too.
you, Mary.
Thank you so much,
We
Mary.
had fun.
It's been my pleasure. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning into the show. If you missed any part of today's show, you can find it on the YouTube playlist at ncmhub.org. Just click on playlist and then scroll down to the morning show with Mary Jacobsen. You'll also find it on the SoundCloud. Just go to ncmhub.org, click on that cloud icon in the upper right-hand corner, and then scroll down. Thanks for listening or watching, everybody. See you next week for the morning show at 9 on Channel 9 on WJOP Newburyport at 96.3 FM and on YouTube. Bye, everybody.